Hello and welcome back to the Witches Brew. I'm your host Amanda, and today's witchy topic is working with the Dark Mothers. So, the Dark Mothers, I feel like a lot of people want to work with them specifically around this time of the year just because it is October, it's fall, it's spooky season. You can work with them at any point in the year. It does not have to be October. All right. Here are just some of the goddesses that I work with in my practice. Again, like we're talking dark mothers here. There are more. All right. These are just a couple. So we have Hecate, who is Greek. She's wonderful. I think she's probably the one people are the most familiar with and practice with the most, next to Lilith, who is next on the list. But Hecate she's very multifaceted. I would love to do an episode about each of these goddesses at some point, but we'll just do a brief rundown. She is also known as the triple goddess, mother, maiden, crone, or maiden, mother, crone, are her three forms. She is the goddess of the crossroads. She is very pertinent to Persephone's story, and Persephone is also on this list. She is seen as like the mother of witches. Again, she's so much more than that, but I could probably talk forever about her. So we'll love you, girl. We'll move on. All right. Lilith. She is part of Christianity. Again, people are very familiar with her. I feel like there are quite a few witches that work with her. And again, large backstory. She decided to say no to Adam. She was banished into the underworld. She's like queen of the demons. Again, she's very wonderful to work with. And I'll talk a little bit more about my experience working with them a little later. Next up on my list is the Morrigan, which I feel like quite a few people have heard of, but I don't hear people talk about her a lot. She is Celtic. I want to look this up because I want to make sure I'm giving you the right information. Yes, Celtic. All right. She's associated with war, fate, and death. She's often a goddess that is talked about in conjunction with battlefields. The goddess Isis. She doesn't come out for me a ton. She is here. She comes forward obviously, but she's just a little bit more in the background. But she is known as a mother, a healer, and a magician. She's also associated with the water element. And she also plays a role with Osiris as well. Actually, I just filmed the healing spell that involves water, so funny that she came through so strongly. And next up is Nyx. So Nyx is the primordial goddess of the night, and she is a part of Greek mythology. And she was one of the first to emerge from chaos. She is really powerful. um, again, her backstory is very rich, but she comes to me, again, this was just me personally, she comes to me a lot about like the state of the world affairs, which is very interesting. She tells me a lot of things. A lot of things. She's great to work with. She always makes me, I'm not going to lie, she makes me a little nervous just because I know when she comes around, I'm going to get some heavy information. And next up is Persephone. She is a part of Greek mythology, wife to Hades. So she is queen of the underworld. Her story, again, is so much deeper and richer than that. She is the daughter to Demeter. And in Greek mythology, Persephone being able to come back to Earth because she spends 6 months in the underworld and 6 months here on Earth. But that transition, when she makes it, is the transition between winter, spring, and fall, and summer. I don't know how I got those out of order. I love working with her. She is, honestly, I describe her as a girl's girl. So we'll talk about my experience working with them as a group, I guess, because I feel like at some point each one of these goddesses is going to get their own episode. All right. So my experience working with them has been, eye-opening comes to mind first. I've been working with them at the point that this comes out over a year. Honestly, I know I've been working with them more. I just didn't realize that I was working directly with them. They have illuminated parts of myself to me that I didn't know existed. I grew up in a family where I was told that children, especially young girls, should be seen and not heard, that you shouldn't be ruffling feathers and, demure and quiet, all of that. So I didn't advocate for myself very often. And my work with them has really changed that. They definitely have helped me heal and incorporate a lot of the mother wounds that I have. I guess father wounds as well, but as well as working through what's called the witch wound, the fear of being seen and heard for who you truly are. Really letting yourself shine, no matter who it bothers or no matter what you have to say. Honestly, they are the reason that I'm sitting here talking to you right now. So I love them for that. I guess since working with them, I have really incorporated the who gives a fuck attitude. They've helped me process my anxiety a lot easier. And honestly, my process for that is if I realize I'm in an anxious spiral, okay, Archangel Michael says that I need to give him a shout out for that too. So thank you. Um, but if I'm in like an anxious spiral, I will stop myself and ask myself, okay, what can I do about this right now? And if the answer is nothing, I find something else to do. And if there is something that I can do right in that moment, which typically never happens, then I go do that thing. And honestly, that's advice I'm giving you right now, but that is something that I use with my students now. That's something I use with my husband, with my clients. Um, Extremely helpful. Now, I will say, like, if there is something that I need to do or something that I need to get done, or if I'm procrastinating on something, um, Hecate is really great at coming through and being like, okay, like, girl, let's get it going. Like, let's get a move on. You know, you need to do this. I don't know why you're procrastinating. Um, a couple weeks ago, she actually called me a brat, which was needed at the time. It really was. Um, but they all have been really great at helping me be unapologetic, helping me realize that it's okay. Oh my God, why am I crying? Jesus, I'm blaming the healing spell. Um, anyway, help me realize that it's okay to take up space. And in fact, it's kind of my birthright and yours too to take up space, to say what we came here to say, to not hold back for fear of what other people might say or think. Can they be a little demanding at times? Yes. Can they be a little heavy handed at times? Yeah. But honestly, my work with them has been so instrumental to me. I couldn't imagine where I might be without them. And I do genuinely mean that. And I know others that have worked with them that would say the exact same thing. Okay. Sorry. Kind of channeling right now. Okay. I want me to tell you that they show up in many forms, and they will show up in the form that you believe them to be the strongest. So take that how it resonates. Because I've had, again, there are so many people that work with Hecate or Hecate, however you want to say her name. But there are so many people that work with her that I have channeled messages through her before, where for me, her mother aspect comes out more, and it's not necessarily like always the nurturing mother that you would get from like Demeter or Mother Mary, but it's more of a like, you need to get this done, why aren't you doing it? But like, not as heavy handed, but definitely more stern. Um, anyway, I'm sorry. I've channeled messages from that side of her that do have a little bit more of a nurturing side. And people have commented on my videos saying, well, that's not how she comes through for me. That's fine. Remember that when we are talking about these beings, these entities, they are so much bigger and so much more powerful than you and I can really comprehend. So they do contain multitudes. They do show up for people differently because the way that you need them to show up is probably going to be different than the way I need them to show up. And I don't, honestly, just like the people in your life, you need them to be able to show up differently for you, depending on the day, depending on what you're going through. And that's the same with working with really any spirit, really any god or goddess or archangel, right? Whoever you work with. They are going to show up differently based on what you need. So just keep that in mind. Okay. I think they're good on their end. I know this is probably getting pretty long, so I will go ahead and wrap this up. Next week, we are talking about working and communicating with spirits while the veil is thin. While the veil is thin. So I will talk to you then. Thank you so much for listening. I will see you next week. Bye.